Hey, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Katie.
You're listening to Not-Stalgia, the podcast that takes some old media, does a little remix of it, utilizes it to create some new content for all you listeners out there.
That was the most boring way to explain our podcast ever.
Is it accurate?
Yeah, I guess.
All right, Kate.
Am I boring? Oh my god.
Kate, have you ever seen a TV show called Space Ghost and Dino Boy?
No.
Do you know anything about it?
Is the ghost a real ghost?
No. Well,
Is the Dino Boy a dinosaur?
No. I also don't think so.
False advertising, and I hate it.
I don't know enough about Space Ghost, and I've never seen Dino Boy, so I can't fully answer your questions, but I think it will become clear. So, Kate, Space Ghost and Dino Boy was created by Alex Toth. It's a Hanna-Barbera Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh, low quality.
Ouch. This show aired, Kate, on CBS Saturday mornings from September 10th, 1966 to September 16th, 1967. There's one season, 20 total episodes, and here's how it worked. Like a lot of these Hanna-Barbera shows, this show consisted of 3 segments, technically 2 different ones that they repeat at one, and the segments are totally unrelated. So there's Space Ghost, who's a superhero named Space Ghost. He has young sidekicks, and he fights villains in outer space.
That's just Batman in space.
He looks a lot like Batman, minus the pointy ears. Okay, just round head. You'll see. And his suit is white, but his hood is black. You'll see.
Just fake Batman.
He's kind of fake Batman, okay, but in space.
Sure.
The other segment, Dino Boy in the Lost Valley, is about a boy who crash lands in a valley where there's somehow dinosaurs and cavemen. He's like a modern boy, but he crash lands in this sort of Land of the Lost-esque valley where things are prehistoric, woolly mammoths, Each episode usually was a Space Ghost segment,
Great.
a Dino Boy segment, and then another Space Ghost. Because this is a special doubleheader episode for us, we're not going to watch 3 segments, even though that would be the most accurate thing to do. We're just going to watch 1 Space Ghost and 1 Dino Boy. Here's what we're going to watch. Ready, Kate? Space Ghost, episode 20, or 1 segment from that episode, The Molten Monsters of Moltar. And for Dino Boy in the Lost Valley, we're going to watch from episode 17, the Dino Boy segment, The Ant Warriors. Ready?
Go.
What? Something went wrong. You forget, Moltar. My power bands are equipped with a freeze field. Stand by to power up. I'm going to blast our way out of here.
Just a man screaming, Space Ghost! Why? Oh, and he's got space kids? That's just Robin.
Well,
look, he's burning in a fire.
Can you describe some of the villains?
Big ants. I was going to say the animation of the clans here. I was going to say the animation looks terrible. Why is he fighting the Ku Klux Klan in space?
There are some white hooded figures.
So there appear to be only 2 villains. The Ku Klux Klan and the ant people. What is that? That's that man on your sweatshirt. No, get that sweatshirt away from me.
That's Sorak. Get ready. Oh, there he goes. Yeah, this is so...
Why does he go into ghost mode? Is that a cat?
So he did turn invisible. There's some sort of pet.
Space pet.
I cannot believe I'm realizing this. I've never watched the original Space Ghost until now. It's Powdered Toast Man. Space Ghost is flying, yelling, Space Ghost!
I guess this was like a 2-parter episode where they ended on a cliffhanger last time, and it was like, will Space Ghost escape this evil oven? And he was like, yes, I did! And it was just
within seconds.
Very quickly resolved.
He blasted out of the oven with his
freeze
bracelets?
Field or something. He was like, don't forget, I have a freeze field also. Playground rules are in effect.
What do you think of Moltar, the villain?
He's just wearing a bell on his head. So Space Ghost narrates a lot of what he's doing. He's like, first I will fry them, now I'll use my Destructo Ray. Like, you think he does this at home while he's making food? He's like, first I'll heat up the Elio's pizza by putting it in the oven. Look at these birds! They can be like invisible ghosts.
I guess so. Is that where the ghost part of the name comes in? They can turn into this sort of white, invisible outline. And not just Space Ghost, though. The twins and the monkey.
But these birds can for sure see them.
Well, he said they can sense them with their sensors.
He's literally just Batman in different colors. They took a picture of Batman and they erased the ears. Space Ghost is looking thick. Now he's borrowing Moltar's ship.
What deal did he just make?
It's unclear. Tyler, use your energy rocks.
A lot of...
It's like a rhino dinosaur, but it just shoots these superheated rocks out of a proboscis on its head. This is wild.
All right, Kate, I accidentally showed you a crossover episode. These are the Herculoids.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so these are characters from the Herculoids, some other Hanna-Barbera show from this
quick
time.
appearance on the Herculoids planet. And now he's like, and I must go now.
Space Ghost had some errands to run. You know, I'm actually glad this is so confusing. This is a good representation of what it would have been like to have tuned into this show with no context in the 60s.
Who is that? Is that Liza Minnelli? Who is this? This, like, scary cultural appropriation cat man. I can't tell who that is.
That's Brack. He's going to be important later. And he's hanging out with some sort of evil old woman villain. So you know what's really crazy? This is the first segment in this episode. The second segment, which we're not going to watch, is about that woman and Brack trying to get Space Ghost. This show is wildly confusing. I like it.
So that was it.
That was it. You saw a little bit of action.
Uh-huh.
It was mostly Space Ghost returning something to the Herculoids. We don't know what.
It's unclear. Space Ghost's glutes are absolutely massive.
He's in great shape, Kate.
So that was it.
Now there's just a little segment at the end.
So here's my thing.
Unrelated to the story.
Yeah.
Of just them blowing stuff up.
Here's
okay,
my question.
what's your question?
Why are they so still when they fly? They're so rigid. The kids, the Space Ghost. Why are they like that? It looks painful to fly that way.
Kate, the reason is money.
Hi, Bronny. What's all the excitement? You don't say. Hey, something really is wrong. Is Ugg in trouble? Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go.
All right, here we go. Dino Boy in the Lost Valley.
Is that a boy or a man?
That's a man. The boy is a different character. This is like a caveman who he's met.
This is just silly. Watching TV in the 60s must have been the fucking trippiest thing ever. People didn't need drugs. They just needed to turn on the... What channel was this on?
CBS.
CBS?
Saturday morning.
Turn on CBS Saturday
1966.
morning. There's these ant people, and they're speaking gibberish, and they've got this absurdly muscular caveman tied up. Why does this single caveman speak English?
You know, maybe Dino Boy taught him. I don't know. We're missing some essential context here. Here's Dino Boy.
Oh, so Dino Boy is just like a kid from your 3rd grade class.
Does that dino sound familiar?
That dino is Scooby-Doo. Do they only have like 6 people working at the Hanna-Barbera studios?
Yeah.
And one of them's Hanna and one of them's Barbera, so that leaves 4 people to do all the animation and the voices.
I'm a pretty big Hanna-Barbera apologist, but they definitely recycle a lot of their ideas. There's a little dinosaur that has a collar, much like Scooby-Doo, so they can animate his head and body separately. Literally is the voice actor of Scooby-Doo and speaks in the exact same way as Scooby-Doo. This is pre-Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo's not till 1969.
Tyler, look at this giant sloth, though. I really like his energy. He has a proud walk.
Look at that caveman's toe ring. So we've never watched a Hanna-Barbera action show. We've only watched comedies and Scooby-Doo.
True, but
what do you think?
Even the action, there's not a lot of it. It's a lot of repeating backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
And like limited animation. Like, look, he just is walking.
All right, so the caveman's name is Ugg.
Look at Dino Boy's little boots, though.
And Dino Boy is wearing cut-off jeans that he probably cut off himself. They look like they were once the jeans he crash-landed in, maybe.
Stylish vest.
We have been watching this angry... What is it?
It's a giant sloth.
This angry giant sloth approach them
Lumbering
for quite a
towards
while.
them.
And I know sloths are famously slow, but it seems like they chose that to serve their animation needs.
This is the most monotonous action I've ever seen.
Now everyone's just throwing stuff at the sloth. The ants are throwing their spears. Ugg is throwing his boulders. Dino Boy's not really contributing
And look,
much.
the sloth is still walking.
Oh no, look, he's starting a fire. We were watching Dino Boy just meticulously blow into a fire that he's trying to start.
It's like, I learned about this at Boy Scout camp. Oh my god, the giant sloth has finally done more than one motion.
All right, Kate. Space Ghost to Dino Boy. What do you think?
2 real stinkers. Literally nothing happened
What do you like better?
in the shorts.
What would you pick? Space Ghost or Dino Boy?
I really liked the way that giant sloth walked. I liked his walk cycle. But if I was picking anything but the walk cycle, I would, I guess, pick Space Ghost because you're in space at least.
Yeah, I like Space Ghost better as well. I think it was
And I liked
more
how
interesting.
rigid all the people were when they flew.
That concept's got more legs, I think, personally, too. So, we're going to flash forward, Kate. So that was 1966 to 67, 1-season show, not a big hit. Hanna-Barbera was kind of going for quantity, not quality at this time. Now we're going to go to 1992.
Wow, okay.
When an event that I think we've discussed many times now, in life and on this podcast. Ted Turner buys Hanna-Barbera. So Ted Turner, 1992, completes a business transaction where he purchases Hanna-Barbera, which has long since stopped in those 30 years-ish of their existence, being a powerhouse of animation. They're kind of on their way out by
Here's
the
my
90s.
question.
Yes.
Why did he buy them? I understand he wanted to create a cartoon time
And, yeah.
network. But did he like them?
Well,
Or did he like money?
it's both. I can't speak for Ted Turner personally, but
Let's call him up.
my read on this
Is he
situation. No, he has Lewy body dementia though. He was on Sunday morning.
Let's call him up.
He was on Sunday morning a couple 2 years ago talking about his pretty bad Lewy body dementia diagnosis.
Ted, if you're listening.
In my research on this, the best read I have is through some other acquisitions. Ted Turner had already purchased the rights over the 80s. He had purchased the rights to some other old cartoons, some old MGM cartoons, some old Popeyes, some old Looney Tunes to show on his channel, TBS, right? The Turner Broadcast System, right? And my understanding is that by 1992, he realized he had so many cartoons that he was just showing like an hour of cartoons on TBS among many other shows and different types of programming. He realized like, oh, if I just get like a little bit more, I can start the first ever 24/7 cartoon channel. And Hanna-Barbera at that time, because their library was so huge.
Oh yeah, you know they had a lot of
quantity, not quality, right? And their price was right, I guess. I don't know the number that he paid, but it was a good value for him to bolster, to add to his library of cartoons so he could then take the whole library, including the newly in 1992 acquired Hanna-Barbera library, which includes everything they ever did. We're talking like a lot of episodes of cartoons, random cartoons. Launches his channel in 1992, calls it the Cartoon Network. Mike Lazo, here's a name you need to know.
Oh, I know that man.
He was a high school dropout and began working in TBS's mailroom in 1984, right? He impressed his bosses because he was so knowledgeable about TVs and movies. They somehow promoted him from... When did we talk about him? I swear we have. I just don't know when.
I think you've been talking about him in your sleep since you've been doing all this research about Ted Turner.
I'm just interested in the Cartoon Network story. Yeah, Mike Lazo moves up from mailroom to programmer, so he's helping decide what cartoons are going to air in that TBS cartoon block they were airing in the 80s.
Did you think this was going to happen to you?
No, I didn't drop out of high school.
No, but did you think that you would just get plucked from obscurity to be a cartoon programmer because of your obscure knowledge of cartoons?
Knowledge? No. I wish I had heard this story as a child, or maybe I didn't. I'm glad I didn't, because I would have dropped out of high school and done this. So Mike Lazo is working at TBS programming their cartoons, and then when they start this channel, when Ted Turner's starting this channel, they're plucking people from TBS now to bring them over, and they go, hey, you should probably go work at Cartoon Network, our new endeavor. So he's the first programmer hired for Cartoon Network, and within 2 years, by 1994, he's the vice president of programming for Cartoon Network. So he had a pretty good rise in 10 years from mailroom at TBS to vice president of programming for Cartoon Network. While he's programming for Cartoon Network, before he becomes vice president, Lazo and some of the other programmers, they would run marathons of old Hanna-Barbera shows, just like come up with silly stuff, because it's kind of like a big playground working there. It's a little watched brand new cable network. So they're like, okay, let's just show like 5 hours of Scooby-Doo today. Let's show, like 10 hours of Flintstones. And they're doing...
Did you like themes?
Yeah, they would do all these different things. It all really was just like very experimental. They would do a themed block. They had Carrot Top come in and host like an hour of cartoons. Just lots of weird stuff. The point is, it's all old cartoons. That there's nothing new, nothing original happening, right? So they're going to do a marathon of Space Ghost, just the Space Ghost parts, not the Dino Boy parts, right?
Okay.
There's about 40 Space Ghost segments they can do, 7-minute segments, because they would do 2 per episode. There are 20 episodes. So they're just going to show these Space Ghost segments, and they decided to call the marathon Space Ghost Coast to Coast. So when they're advertising it, they're like, here's a big marathon of Space Ghost. We're calling it Space Ghost Coast to Coast, just because it rhymes, it sounds funny. It's, partly named after that AM radio, Coast to Coast radio. It just sounds good, right? But then Mike Lazo became fixated on that name. And when later he was asked to come up with an idea for Cartoon Network's first original series, instead of just re-airing stuff, he said, why don't we do something with the Space Ghost character? We own it. Ted Turner owns it outright. So we could make a new show and we'll call it Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
It's the kind of thinking that gets you made the VP of programming.
Yeah, no kidding. They didn't have a lot of money to spend, so what they did was they took their library of Space Ghost episodes, which total doesn't add up to that many minutes all told, They run it into Avid, which is a video editing software. They take all this stuff, they start chopping it up, and they're going to make something new, literally just using this old stuff, no new animation. They're going to reuse it, they're going to record new voices. It's like kids making a project. It's so fascinating to me, this story. Here was their concept. They're going to make it a talk show. Space Ghost is going to be hosting a talk show from outer space.
What?
Because they can just take these close-ups of him and play him talking and then record new voices and rewind him talking, play it again. They could isolate him and give him a new background. He's holding some of his villains captive on this satellite and making them produce his show. So what? Zorak, I'm wearing my Zorak sweatshirt today. He's the band leader, on a late night talk show. Kevin Eubanks. Questlove, yes. Moltar is the AV guy, we just saw Moltar because in that episode of Space Ghost we just saw he's standing in front of a big computer screen basically, right? Brack is there. You're going to see. It's very bizarre. The guests on the show are live action footage of celebrities.
What?
Who are brought in. Space Ghost is talking to them via a television screen. To create the original one, they took a real interview with Denzel Washington, put it all out of context, and gave made up weird questions they could ask where his answers would seem silly. And that was the pilot. You can't watch this because Cartoon Network refuses to release it because they didn't clear the Denzel Washington. But that was the pilot Mike Lazo made with his team to prove to the network, the actual executives at Cartoon Network, that it would be okay. And then they okayed it and they started making this show. The original episodes after the pilot, they would interview celebrities in a room, and then they would they would ask them just totally random different questions that would not, the real questions aren't in the episode. Space Ghost is asking questions that are not what they were really asked. So it's very surreal and odd. In later seasons, when it became a little more professional, this became a phenomenon. And they could get bigger celebrities and stuff. They would dress someone up like Space Ghost and sit them and do the interview. And then even later, when it got really big, they would get the guy who does Space Ghost's voice to interview them over the phone, much like Terry Gross on NPR.
Got it.
But the early ones are really weird, and then they get a little more put together and professional as time goes on. So, the official credits on this show, Kate, it was created by Mike Lazo. It aired on Cartoon Network from April 15th, 1994 to December 17th, 1999. Then they brought it back 2 years later on the newly created Adult Swim, which is Cartoon Network's late night block of more mature programming.
Dirty stuff.
Sometimes, but just a little more TVMA, TV 13 kind of stuff. And it ran again, a new run. They made more episodes on Adult Swim from May 7th, 2001 to April 12th, 2004. And then weirdly later, there's more episodes. So Turner Broadcasting had a service called Game Tap, which was an online game rental service that also had some video game related TV shows. And they made some Space Ghost episodes that are considered pretty low quality. We're not going to watch these ones, but I want to mention them here because we're covering the history. From May 20th, 2006 to May 31st, 2008, there were 11 total seasons, 108 episodes, but they're really short. They're 10 minutes or less each. They're very, very condensed. I vividly remember wanting to so badly to stay up and watch Space Ghost Coast to Coast as a little kid in 1998, 99, but I almost always fell asleep before it came on. I was all right, I'm going to stay up, I'm going to watch it, and I'd pass out. And originally it was on 11 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. I think it moved to midnight at some point, but I couldn't even make it to 11 as a little kid.
Yeah, because you shouldn't have, because no kid should have a TV in their bedroom.
On Friday night, at least there's no school the next day. Why is this show good? I don't know if it is good, but it's really weird. It's really creative. I love the idea that they're mashing up this old footage with these interviews. It's kind of edgy. It just really feels like the inmates running the asylum, where the cartoon fanatics who get to run programming at Cartoon Network were given just a little bit of scratch to make their own show, and it's just so weird. It has a pretty big legacy. There was a spin-off called Cartoon Planet that ran on Cartoon Network and TBS from 95 to 98, where the same Space Ghost characters, instead of interviewing people, they just showed old cartoons and introduced them. For some reason, though, I don't remember Cartoon Planet at all, but that's definitely part of the legacy. Space Ghost also is the reason Adult Swim was created. Even though Space Ghost predates Adult Swim, it was 94 and then until 2001 when Adult Swim was launched. This idea of using old footage and edgy comedy writing to create a new show, that's the whole premise of Adult Swim when it first launched. Plus, one of the shows on the original Adult Swim lineup was The Brack Show, which was a spinoff of this using that guy that you just saw, Brack. And last little bit of legacy, when Cartoon Network created Toonami, their anime block, which we've covered, their original host of Toonami was Moltar. They made a CGI model of Moltar and had him host it. We're going to watch Season 3, Episode 6, Boo! Exclamation point. And Season 4, Episode 2, Gallagher.
You could always just blast him.
Oh, now Zorak.
Blast him. Blast him.
Michael, why all the probing questions? I hope you're not planning one of those silly tell-all books that will make me look bad. And
You know, when you're a ghost,
Blast
do you scare? I mean, are people scared when they meet you?
who? Me?
Blast him.
Who wants to know?
Blast him.
You?
Blast him.
What was the question again?
Blast him. Blast him.
Do you mind, Zorak? I'm trying to do an interview here.
Blast him. Blast him.
Now,
Blast him.
Zorak,
Blast
violence
him.
is not
Blast
the
him.
answer to...
Blast him. Blast him. Blast him.
Just imagine how weird this intro was as a little kid at 11 p.m. at night. You're
Yeah,
tired.
you should be sleeping.
It's just this moon. It's out of focus, or asteroid, whatever this is.
Is this supposed to be a good one? I like Zorak's energy. I like when he says blast him. Listen, like, I get the idea. I understand why the idea is revolutionary. I do not like this right now.
Maybe Michael Norman, ghost expert, is just not a good guest. Let's see. There, he's gone. They zapped him. All right.
That was not very good.
You sat in stunned silence in a way that I've almost never witnessed in 300 plus episodes of Not-Stalgia.
Yeah, I didn't like this.
It's pretty bizarre, right?
Yeah, I can see why it's important, because they're doing a little remix of something, but I also did not like it.
So what are your superpowers?
Who, me?
No, Dave and Ba.
Well, quit looking at me.
I have the power to tell when people are in trouble very far away, up to like 20 miles away, but I don't have any other power, so I have to run or get a cab or
just feel bad.
That's weak. Ba, how about you?
I crave sweets.
Is that it? Those are measly little sissy powers. I save entire planets.
God bless you, man. If we could, we would, but all we can do is make one or two people giggle a little bit.
And those one or two people will be giggling their way to Armageddon while you two jokers do your little ha-ha act.
Bob Odenkirk looks young. Has David Cross ever looked young?
Blast him.
All right, Kate. I have never seen you so silent in all of Not-Stalgia history.
I didn't like this. I understand why it's important. I understand why that mailroom guy became the vice president of programming. That doesn't mean I have to like it.
Just didn't land for you, huh?
No. And I get it. I understand why people would like it, and I don't want to make people who like it feel bad.
Since when?
No, this didn't
Really didn't
anything
work for
me.
you, huh?
Did it work for you?
No. I always wanted to like this. Even as a kid, when I would be able to stay up, I
Because
didn't
you thought
get it.
you were going to be edgy and cool.
I wanted to like this so bad, and I never quite got it, even though I am wearing my Zorak sweatshirt, because it does remind me of a simpler time. Yeah, for me, this is one that, as much as I'd love to watch it, it's like I can watch one every once in a while, and then I'm like, yeah, I've had my fill. It's a little too silly. I mean, it definitely benefits from its short length, but they felt long, didn't they?
Yeah, they felt really long.
Those were each about 10 minutes long, and they did feel really long.
God, it felt like 287 hours.
All right, Space Ghost.
All right.
A foundational element of modern adult animation, but...
This is going to be a space no for me, and that would have been a joke on Space Ghost.
Blast him.
Kate, what a way for us to kick off 2023 here. You're so bored, aren't you?
Why wouldn't you save any good ones for this year?
I really thought this was going to be better. Hey, contact the show with what we should watch. I know what you're thinking, maybe the other Adult Swim shows. We'll probably get to them. The ones from the 2001 sort of inaugural year.
Space Odyssey.
The Brack Show, C-Lab 2021, and what's the other one? Oh, Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Next.
There's a pretty lady, huh? Front row. Huh? I think there's a little bit. Yes, Chief. Just pull you out a little bit more.
Oh, that's a good one.
People! Superhero license renewal to the right. Talk show host license renewal to the left. Thank you.
What'd she say? There's no salad bar here.
Space Ghost, Coast to Coast. The new season starts October 8th at 11 on Cartoon Network.